Okay, this is something I shot quite a while ago. And turn off the sound for a bit. It's in DCI. Put it up full screen. And there was just enough fog this morning to produce that hazy God ray effect in the background. So this is raw footage. I shot it in 60 frames per second, so what I will typically do on something like this is extend that. Several different ways to do it. In this particular case, I'm just going to go Command R, throw that up, change the speed to 50 at this point. It typically provides a good response. There. So at 50%, you get something that's smoother. And I find that if I shoot at 120 frames per second, it really captures bird flight well. I shoot 120 frames per second and high shutter speed. That allows me to capture some crystal clear motion for stills. And so as you can see, the bird flying across here. There is no motion blur. Okay, just another point of note. I'm going to look into how I start to color grade this. So I'm going to pull it up to here, pop in my color grade. And I did not use, in this particular case, I was in a rush and I saw this and I said, oh, well, gotta film that. I didn't get the time to set for white balance, which is really a great thing to do. So over here I use drop down, turn it to clip. I can use it as shot or I can use daylight. Either way, it looks actually pretty accurate. If I do cloudy, we get a bit more yellow coming in there. And I may play with that, but we're going to do as shot right now. The output will be to the web, so we're going to do 709. And I'm going to do a highlight recovery. And you'll see over here in the parade that extended the highlights a bit. And everything is actually really nice. We're not having a lot of variation on the red, blue, and green channel. So I'm going to drop that down to where it's just touching. Now, a couple of things we can do is if I really wanted this to be black, I would change the settings to make this black. General options, color. So generally I'll use S-curve for contrast. Sometimes I'll turn that off. We're going to find out what that's like here. But luminance mixer values to 0 is another setting where it would allow me to drop this below and I would be able to get completely black in the image. That may work here, so I might just keep that. Otherwise, what it tries to do is it tries to compress the colors to the bottom where it doesn't allow that. So even just here, you can see it's not looking too shabby. And as you can see here, from dropping this down, how much there is to recover in the highlights. You can see the difference here when I turn off highlight recovery. It drops it back to here. Highlight recovery extends that. I did not shoot this at Q0. That would have been really nice, but I would have had to have the hard drive attached. Otherwise it's too slow to capture that at 60 frames per second. The other thing I'm going to look at is working the contrast. So when I do the contrast, you can see the lens I was using at that time starts to pull in a bit of the vignetting. I'm going to extend my gain here. But as you can see, we've already got some really nice contrasting features here. And the focal point here, I have to think, what is it that is kind of the focal point? Well, I particularly enjoy the brights coming off the waves here. And of course, possibly try to get a little bit more separation between the shadows and the bright rays. So it's a tad washed out here, so we're going to adjust a few things. Kind of, let's see without that. So this allows for a bit more of an explosion of color there. And because in this one I played with the red, boosting the red just a tad more, and went from that to this. It's more golden. Now, this is not bad. I can certainly adjust things in here. It's a tad more blue than I'd like. But this kind of spreads that warmth across the entire scene. So that's why I would play with the individual channels there. I am liking how that is coming across. So you can see without this, the changing the luminance, we don't quite get the same luminance versus saturation. This helps create some variance. And we're going to increase in here just a tad more saturation. You can see where that's peaking, so I'm peaking it a bit more. I can certainly kill it in the rest of the image here. Because there's basically the information in that part of the channel isn't really there. You'll see I cut into it and you'll see how that changes. That puts a little bit more brightness in there. That actually doesn't look bad. If I were going for something that made that stand out specifically as separate, I might cut into that a little bit. I'm essentially making it just more white by desaturating it. So, but the goal was to warm it up a little bit. I am liking that because what this does now is this golden starts coming in here a bit more. And a lot of this is just art. A lot of this is just figuring out what it is you want highlighted and why. Now, there's some clipping in there, and that's perfectly okay. Because seeing into that, you know, what's the thing? It's so bright you can't see into it, right? So I'm okay with that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just increase the saturation overall. So this is my main channel, and on the main channel I'll do the things like this. It's actually just really nice to look at. I don't have a problem with that. That's really nice. Cool. Okay. Now I can play with, in general, I can go back here and take a look at, and see how I can make this more standard, or I can make it a bit more dramatic. But not too dramatic. So I'll increase that temperature just a tad. You know, I'm going to leave that. Any mid-tone detail, you can see it would help make some of that pop, but just a drastic curve. So from here, nothing too massive. That's a tad buggy. It could work depending on what it is you're using. There's enough variation in here that could stand out, but I think it detracts a tad from what I'm going for, which is that nice warm glow across the screen. And so a little detail is fine. If I go without it, you can see this separation here. So when we drop it down, that kind of blends in. The more I increase this, what you're going to see here is, like here, this separation starts popping in. Now that makes this just a bit more of the focus, and I'm not looking for that. I'm pretty sure I don't need color boost. Shadows. I don't think I'm going to play with the shadows too much. The dropping down is fine. Highlights. Well, we have a screen like that, and you can see that really washes out. Go too low, everything gets really dull. I'll just leave that alone at the moment. Go back. Is there contrast? How about that again? No, I think that's about right. I'm actually liking that. It's gold enough for me. I enjoy what I'm seeing here. And that's what it comes down to. What are you looking for? For me, you can see here, I enjoy this clear path to this expression of light coming across here. I like that this is highlighted in the wave action, and off in the distance, birds. I think this was actually not too shabby. Okay, so that looks good. Again, there's a lot I could do with masks and such, but this is just where I'm going to leave it. The more I stare at it, the more I want to start playing with them again. So this, I think, carries my initial feeling of how I wanted to bring this out. As an aside here, I will provide a part of this video for you in Blackmagic RAW form for you to color grade on your own and even post for non-commercial use. If you do something cool with it, just let me know, and I may highlight it in a future video. The Google Drive link for it will be in the description below. If you liked this, please let me know, and I will provide more of these in the future. Or if you have specific questions, also let me know that.
you.